and welcome to episode 185 of
The Eldritch Podblast.
I am Mags.
I am Jack.
And we are a Dungeons & Dragons social commentary podcast where we focus on the social aspect of D&D.
We give out advice to Dungeon Masters and players, old and new.
And the most important thing we believe in is creating a safe, welcome, and inclusive space in the TTRPG space.
So if that sounds good to you, welcome in.
Hey, come on in. Hey, listen. I'm sorry about the shackling stuff, on Monday. Listen, it doesn't always have to be, you want to be shackled it. Say less.
Okay.
Okay, step on the plate. Step on the pressure plate.
The pressure plate?
You'll go down into the dungeon.
Okay.
and the entity will take care of you from there.
Yes. You will get strapped up good and proper by the entity.
Strapped on.
Strapped on.
Hi everyone, how are we doing?
What's happening?
Happy Thursday. I hope you've had a wonderful week so far. The weekend is imminent. And that's a threat.
Almost here. Oh my god.
And that's a threat.
Don't you think I won't threaten you again?
Already done. It will have been my birthday yesterday at time of watching, if you're watching it on Thursday the 21st of November. Gosh, goodness gracious. You're witnessing an ancient being. So how about that?
Let's get some happy birthdays for Margaret down in the comments.
Happy birthday, you ancient being. Yeah. You know what?
Join the club.
Listen, this is definitely a surprise to no one. I went through Montessori schooling as a child. Wow, who would have thought? No.
I saw the other day there's a Montessori school literally somewhere near us.
Is there? There's one in Borough. It was opposite where I used to live in uni.
I drove past it and it said Montessori school on it, but somebody was too busy yapping on in the car. So I was like, I'm not gonna say it out loud.
Yeah. Well, I was a Montessori school kid. Wow, what a huge surprise. Everyone's shocked
and appalled.
You're hitting me with a shocked Pikachu face right now, aren't you? If anyone else went to a Montessori school, I know this is standard practice. When it was someone's birthday, they would bring in, and I went to Montessori school till I was 11, I think.
Yeah.
On your birthday, you bring in photos of yourself from every year you've been alive, and you get a globe.
What if you didn't have that?
I mean, true.
You get shackled up.
You get shackled up.
You get shackled up.
And then all the kids sit around in a circle.
Yeah.
Each kid holds a photo of you. Your birthday, you get given a globe, and you're the Earth moving around the sun. And you walk around however many years, like let's say it's your 8th birthday, you'll walk around 8 years,
times.
And then you'll stop at the kid holding a photo 1, 2, 3, and you'd say a memory from when you were that age.
What if you can't remember?
True. Who remembers anything? You know what? Me. I remember things from when I was very young.
Yeah, but do you remember something from when you were 1?
Yeah.
Go on then.
Pee-pee poo-poo time.
Yeah, you did. You will have done some pee-pee poo-poo time.
It's pee-pee poo-poo time.
You will have done pee-pee poo-poo time.
Strange.
It's strange how you can recall that so well.
It is.
Wow.
I was talking about the fact that they make kids walk around other kids with a globe.
What about the pee-pee poo-poo time?
No. Well, listen, we all have to indulge in some pee-pee poo-poo time.
I mean, yeah, I pee-pee poo-poo time right now.
I could pee-pee poo-poo right now.
Go for it.
Hey, listen.
This is a safe space.
It's my birthday week. I can do what I want.
You can do what you want.
I can do what I want. If I want to pee-pee poo-poo right here, God knows I will.
I'll pee-pee poo-poo right here. I'm a pee-pee poo-poo right here.
Yeah, I'm a pee-pee poo-poo right here.
I'm a pee-pee poo-poo right here.
So yeah, my birthday.
Nice.
Ancient. To be fair, the day you're watching this,
Day after
we'll be out doing birthday stuff.
Okay.
I'm really congested still.
No, still.
Yeah, I was congested on Monday. I don't know what it is.
Congestion.
Yeah. when I'm talking long form like this, it gets me,
Long form.
4 minutes.
4 minutes in.
Yeah, this is long form.
You got a while to go,
trust me,
baby.
For some people, this is long form.
Oh yeah, believe it. I'm sure they'll let you know down in the comments. Why are you still talking and you're not a topic? Shut up.
Hey, it's my podcast. Hey, listen. Hey, aren't you the one shackled in my dungeon right now?
Why don't you go and have pee-pee poo-poo time?
Yeah, hey, look.
Hey,
you're not in
bothered,
any position to insult me right now.
Go and have some pee-pee poo-poo time.
You're the one shackled in my dungeon.
Yeah.
I was going to say something else.
Oh my god.
Oh my gosh.
Speak your truth.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Oh my god.
Hey, look. If you peruse Reddit,
oh my god,
you may have seen a photo of two little scene kids. I know this because it has had like 2 million impressions since it's been posted. So there's a high chance that maybe someone's seen it. Hey,
you should just drop the name of our podcast on that subreddit.
Hey, this photo of these scene kids, one on the right's me. That's me from 2008. How old was I in 2008? If I'm 31 at the time you're watching this.
You were 15.
I was 15. I think I was actually more 14. Like 14 in this photo. My friend Shan, who I went to school with, who, you know, we were weirdos together, you know, as they say. She posted this. We were on stream and she messaged me being like, hey, look, I posted this on Reddit and it's got like 1 million views.
Yeah.
And I just thought I'd let you know. And we went through it on stream together.
Yeah.
I just wanted to let everyone know, hey, that's me.
Hey, that is you.
Hey, that's me.
That is you. We had a little dive back into Margaret Law.
We did. We did.
Margaret's some things that Margaret had going on MySpace and things like that.
Yeah,
it was interesting. It was interesting.
Wow, who would have thought the Montessori kid turned chronically online child with unsupervised access to the internet. So there's a lot of strange
things.
The
pipeline.
Yeah, it's honestly it's the pipeline. There was a lot of strange things that we uncovered on that stream. So hey, thanks for hey, if you were there, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Talking about Twitch stream.
This
Sunday,
yes,
come and join us. We're going to be having our lovely, wonderful friends Raina and Dave from Careful Cantrip on the stream. We're going to be talking all things TTRPGs. We're going to be talking about them.
Yep.
We're going to be talking about their campaign. We're going to be talking about some of their maybe some hot takes and unpopular opinions.
Probably asking them some really weird questions.
We're going to ask them some smash or pass questions. We do like to do that.
Yeah, so please join us. They're going to be our
it'd
first
great
guests.
Stuff.
And that is this Sunday. Sunday the 24th of November.
Sunday.
Pee pee poo poo pee pee poo poo. Anything else? How are you?
I'm great. How are you? Yeah, good. Congested. It's like how I guessed that you would say that.
I'm congested. I'm congested right now.
We spend a lot of time together.
Hey, watch out. I'm congested right now.
Hey, watch out. I'm in my congested era. Hey, watch out. I'm about to congest.
I don't have much else.
Good, that's fine. We'll just get onto it. I'm sure the people down in the comments will be
thrilled.
Ecstatic. Oh my god. They finally got a topic before like 15 minutes, 20 minutes in.
Let's be honest. The people...
Should we just sit in silence?
Yes. For 40 minutes?
To
yes.
Just annoy them. You think we won't?
The thing is, the people who actually complain vehemently like that, they're not people who are ever coming back. So like they're never going to see
They're not people who like this channel. That's the thing. Yeah. They don't like the channel.
Yeah, good. You know what? And hey, good.
Hey, good.
Hey, good. If you don't like me at my pee-pee, you don't deserve me at my poo-poo.
You don't deserve me at my poo-poo.
Oh, well.
Tell them down in the comments.
You can't handle me at my poo-poo. You don't. No, pee-pee.
My pee-pee.
Oh my gosh, I'm getting all discombobulated. You don't deserve me at my poo-poo.
Exactly.
There you go.
You should type that down in the comments.
I think so.
Definitely. Before we get into it, make sure you like, make sure you comment, make sure you subscribe, make sure you ring the bell to be notified when we upload a video. Come join us on Twitch every Friday, every Sunday, every other Tuesday. Check out our Patreon for more exclusive content by me and Margaret in the description below. And also, go and check out our Pride collection.
Yay!
At www.eldritchpodblast.co.uk. We have our Pride collection up now. 10% of all the hoodies and all the t-shirt sales from there will be going to a local charity to us, Heart Gables, which is an LGBTQIA plus charity for the local Northeast. Thank you so much to everyone who's supported that so far.
Our first donation's imminent. Yeah.
It will be probably next week.
Yeah, probably next time we see you. Yeah.
Which is super cool and hot and sexy.
Thank you so very much. There's 37 Pride flags on there. I hope that there is something for everyone. And thank you very much for all your support. We're very excited to make our first donation. Yeah. And I guess with all that said, shall we get into topic?
Let's go!
Thank you so much to all our patrons over at Patreon.
You have no idea how much we appreciate your support.
If you want to support us over at Patreon and gain access to our exclusive content,
like our D&D campaign updates and our extra monthly live streams,
click the link in the description. More about Patreon at the end of this video. Thank you.
So today, as you can see from the title, that I definitely
cooked up.
Definitely know what it is.
It's a
already.
Winner. It's an absolute winner of a title. Oh my god!
This is another one of our more conversational pieces.
Yeah.
This is something that's very important to me. Something that I have a lot of experience with.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people who play D&D have experience with this.
I think a lot of people in this community have experience with this as well.
Certainly. And, you know, even broader than that, I think D&D brings a lot of things to people in different ways.
Yes.
So the topic of today is Dungeons and Dragons and how it can be a catalyst for self-expression and self-identity in a lot of ways. I kind of want to break it down into I start doing the worm.
Oh my god.
Into a few sections. We'll start first with why D&D. Some of the things included are going to be gender identity, confidence, and overall self expression of self, trauma and grief, and then kind of like a conclusion, right?
Yeah.
There is a lot of, if you didn't know, we put out surveys to our community and we said if you have experience with any of these things, please send them in. There's still 2 more surveys open about topics we're going to do, which is the Theatre Kid to D&D player pipeline.
Yeah.
And what's the other one?
The lone wolf.
The why so many people's first D&D characters are lone wolves or edgy.
Yep.
If you have any experience in them, please send your responses down below in the survey.
Yeah.
We consider everything, and there is a lot of quotes taken directly from things that people have sent in. So thank you very much. Of course, we'll be giving proper credit if people wanted it when we get to them. And I guess the first place to start is, I suppose, for those who maybe have stumbled on this video and don't necessarily know exactly what Dungeons and Dragons is, right? What is Dungeons and Dragons?
Well, at the very base level, it is a TTRPG.
Yeah,
it is a tabletop role-playing game.
Yeah.
Where you have a split between game mechanics and roleplay as you not playing yourself, but playing a character.
Yeah.
You could be a dwarven warrior. You could be an elven ranger. You could be a noble-born bard. You could be whoever you want.
Yep.
And in this world, you drop you.
Yep.
And you become that bard or something like that.
You step into someone else.
A character.
Yeah, and typically it's a character that you have created, right? Or at the very least, if you haven't created it, you've at least been handed some information regarding this character, right? And I think that's the crux of it. Honestly, that's the crux of everything we're going to talk about today, is the fact that in D&D, it's you, but it's also kind of not.
It is. It's played by you. That's the thing. I think it's played by, even if you are playing a Elven Ranger, which you are not.
Yeah.
Sadly to tell you, I'm very, very sorry. As much as we can put our little pointy elven ears on and braid our hair lovely and paint our skin pink or something like that. Sadly, we are not.
No.
But that's the point. I think.
Yeah.
You can maybe be something that you have always maybe wanted or envisioned for yourself, or maybe if you've looked at like fantasy times and been like, I'd be a warrior, I'd be a bard, I'd be an archer.
Yeah.
Like that's what I would be.
Yeah. Totally. So I really, the question, why D&D? Why so often do we hear? At least we do. You know, again, we're a D&D podcast. We focus on the social aspect. We do a lot of things like reading people's advice. We read people's experiences, horror stories, wholesome stories. And time again, we get stories talking about one way or another how D&D has helped them with their self-expression. And I think it's important to mention at the top of this as well. It's not all games. Not all games of D&D.
Yeah.
If you want it to be, it can be, but if you're not bothered, it doesn't have to be.
Yeah, like I think the line does get blurred with, oh well, it's not that for me. It's just like, and that's fine because it's something else for you.
Yeah,
whether it's your way to hang out with your buddies that when you grew up and had a child or got a full-time job, it's your way of staying connected to your friends by just turning up every week, something like that. It's your outlet, it's your relief, it's your whatever it is to you, that's absolutely fine.
Yeah, of course.
But I think for a lot of people, it was it's become a little bit more than that. It became something almost like transcendent for some people.
Yeah, totally.
And I also want to say, like we're just talking about D&D, but it's TTRPGs.
Certainly.
Like D&D is the most popular TTRPG.
Yeah, and it's our TTRPG of choice. Yeah.
But,
it's not mutually exclusive. Yeah.
Candela Obscura, Monster of the Week, whatever you play.
Absolutely.
It doesn't matter. It can still apply the same.
I honestly think any scenario in which you're kind of putting yourself on the back burner and you're stepping into the mind of someone else and you're stepping into someone else's personality. I think that can, you use the word transcendent, and I agree. I think that, the act in that, regardless of where it's happening, you could be writing a book.
Yeah.
You could be acting in the theater.
In the theater, yeah.
And
the theater and play this character.
It's
really speaks to you.
Yeah, it's a transcendent feeling, and so I do want to preface it's not all games, and it doesn't have to be if you don't want it to be.
Yeah.
It can seriously be as simple as turn brain off, do fun thing if you want it to be, and that's so valid. But for a lot of people, we find that it is for me, it has been transformative. It really has.
I think and this is the thing. It's like those topics that you mentioned at the top, whether it's grief, whether it's self-expression, whether it's self-identity. It's like we're not all going to experience all of those.
Yeah.
But some of us have just experienced like one or two things.
Yeah.
And I think for you, obviously we'll get onto it, but I think the grief thing was something that was heavy for you.
It was. Yeah, it was. And that's honestly, when I was scripting this is exactly the part that I feel like I have the most experience with.
Yeah,
right?
And I think the thing that I have the most experience with out of them all is self-expression.
Totally. Absolutely.
I think I get, I mean, we'll get onto that part.
No, yeah, but totally. But I think everyone has elements of all of these things.
And like, I think this topic matters to us because I think for both of us, when we came into Dungeons and Dragons, like a lot of you probably did, we just thought it was going to be, let's just get together and roll some dice.
Yeah, which by the way, it is.
Which it is. But then it became something else.
Yes.
Alongside, hey, let's just roll some dice.
Absolutely.
And, maybe not so much now.
Yeah.
Because I think we got a lot of those things. When we realized it could be those things.
Absolutely. We kind of dove head in first.
Right, let's tackle all the things
now. Yeah, certainly.
And
but even then, there's even in my most recent character, Blythe, we've been playing D&D since 2020. So for 4 years, and I've cycled through, about 4 long-term characters, right? Even now, my most recent character, Blythe, still to this day, has really strong themes of dealing with grief.
Yeah.
In a different way than all my other characters have.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And we'll get onto that, but
I think the things as well, like life doesn't stop.
No,
it's like, I dealt with my past trauma.
Yeah.
Hey, it's okay. I got some more trauma on the way.
Yeah.
I can then deal with that.
Yeah.
Sort of thing.
Certainly.
That means like because life doesn't stop, these things don't stop in game.
Definitely.
You think, I worked through that thing in D&D, and it's just like you don't realize, but you're actually going through something right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then in a year's time, you might deal with that in game again or something
completely.
Like that.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
Hindsight's a bitch, as they say.
Yeah, hindsight's 2020.
Yeah, definitely. And kind of on the topic of it doesn't have to be everyone's games, I also think that this is something that is conducive to playing at a safe table.
Yeah.
Playing with people you trust, playing with people who respect you, playing with people you feel comfortable with, right? And I'm not saying that once again, not saying that they're mutually exclusive, but we've said it so many times. When you find that table, like we have, like so many of you have, and so many of you yet to come will, when you find that table that you really trust, it feels like you can do anything and not be judged for it, right?
And I think that particularly the first part of this conversation, the self-identity, has become such a big thing just in the last 5 years.
Yeah, totally.
Just in general. Like a lot of people are just realizing that, hey, I don't have to be who, my parents said I was.
Like individualism is honestly a thing. Yeah, and that's in the wake of capitalism.
Yeah, and I don't have to conform to what, is this very... Especially when it comes to gender, female, male. It's like I don't have to fucking conform to that.
I don't have to
tie
myself to this binary.
I can be whoever I want to be.
Certainly.
And I think when you were talking about a safe table there, I think that a safe table is almost mandatory to do those things because it can actually go the complete opposite way.
I completely agree. It can.
when you don't have a safe table and want, because I think the other things can maybe be expressed, not so much at a safe table, but in more of a normal table, like self-expression and grief and things like that.
Totally.
There's a lot of death in D&D.
Yeah.
When it comes to self-identity, I think that you have to have a safe table, otherwise it can go the complete opposite way.
I agree.
I tried to express this part of myself that I have been wondering about, confused about, have been curious about, have been thinking maybe I am, but I'm not sure. And I want to use this experience to try that out. Yeah. Maybe I use a different pronoun. Maybe I identify as a different gender. Yeah. Maybe I don't identify as any gender at all. Yeah. Maybe I use they, them pronouns and things like that. And to go into that thinking that, and to have maybe a dungeon master or a player at the table that doesn't want you to have that, can actually make you regress.
I agree. Yeah, I very much agree.
A safe table is something that I would say is mandatory. Yeah. For self-expression. Yeah, no. For self-identity.
Yeah, no, I do agree. I really do agree.
It shouldn't be.
It shouldn't be. It should be a given.
It should
be
a fucking given at this point, but
it should be a given.
It should be a given.
Unfortunately, it's not.
No, it's not.
And I think the term, I think you used the word safety, and the term safety blanket comes to mind actually. And you know what? That we have a direct quote. This has been sent in by Louis Darkwolf, and he uses he, him pronouns. Awesome. And one thing that he said specifically to this question is, it gave me a chance to be me without being me. It's like I had this safety blanket to say and be the things I wanted to.
100%.
And I think, honestly, I think that sums up really the entirety of what we just said. Yeah, right?
It's like, hey, I want to go by he, him pronouns. Yeah. Hey, I want to go by she, her pronouns. Yeah. I want to go by they, them. I want to mix. I want to go him. I want to go she. I want to go both at the same time. Yeah. Like, I don't none of it fits for me. Yeah. Whatever I am right now, me as a person, it doesn't feel right. Yeah. So it is, hey, I'm going to play this character, and this character is going to go by they, them. And then you get called they, them in game. Yeah. And you're like, that feels right.
Yeah, yeah. And without even, sometimes it can be a feeling in the back of your head where you're like, I would like to try this, but I don't know how. Sometimes you have no idea.
Because the thing is as well, it's like in IRL, in real life, if you were like, hey, I want to try using they, them pronouns, and then you actually don't like it, and then you got to go back on it, and you do have this like maybe sense of risk, sense of embarrassment. It's like this almost like social contract. Yeah, like you've told people something and actually you don't like it. Now you got to go back on it, and it's just like it's like a risk that you take.
I agree, and the fact that you can play all of this out, kind of as yourself, kind of not. It's weird because the D&D character, it's you're there, but you're not at the forefront.
You're being referred to, like personally. Yeah, like I talk to your character, I turn to you. Yeah, what do you like? Do you know what I mean? It's just like. They're referring to you, but using your character's pronouns, using your character's like identity, using your character's sex, using your character's sexual preferences and things like that. Yeah, and you can. It's like a test drive.
Yeah, yeah. Honestly, it is. And then again, I can't stress enough how sometimes it's you just don't even realize. We've had so many submissions saying I just used they, them pronouns, and then it just felt right.
It just felt right.
And then that unlocked the beginning of my journey, for not just for my character. My character provided opening that door to my gender identity, and then me stepping into it as me. Yeah. And we've had so many stories like that.
And that's the thing. I feel like there's many cases, but if I were to boil it down, I could boil it down to people who are really curious and use it as a sort of like, oh, I like, do I like it sort of thing. I've always thought it, so let's just see how it works. And then there's people who are like, hey, I just like I like to represent my like queer friends, my trans friends and stuff like that. So I'm gonna go by like they, them, she, her and stuff like that. And then they go, oh yeah,
and honestly, even if there isn't that moment, I think being able to be like, yeah, I'm gonna put some representation in for my friends here. Like, I think that's a big thing of it as well. And, now that we've kind of fully moved into kind of the branch of gender identity, I think as well, I mentioned a social contract earlier, but I feel like in D&D, we play sentient mage hands with a baguette.
Yeah.
We fight piles of goo. Like
it's whatever you want it to be.
There's a complete lack actually of social expectations. I feel like, you know, of course there's always going to be rules in a world. There's always going to be laws in the world. There's going to be truths in a world, right?
Yeah.
But going into D&D, it's like, yeah, I'm going to be that weird little lizard dude who I can throw fireballs out my eyes.
Yeah. I'll play shit pigeon.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
Like, or I'll play a sentient goat.
Yeah.
That wants nothing more than to turn its creator immortal so they can join you.
Yeah, exactly.
So anything goes.
Anything goes. And I think in a world where anything can happen, hey, why can't trans people?
Yeah.
Hey, why can't there be trans people?
Like, that's it. It's like, obviously, we know exactly where we sit right now with the presidential election in America. This is like, I feel like, look, first of all, they don't get it, but they don't get it.
No, of course not.
But they don't get it on a deeper level.
No, of course.
This is the thing they desperately don't want. And the thing is, when you desperately don't want something for people, they're gonna go the other way.
Yeah, of course.
And this is the thing. I can guarantee right now, by the end of that fucking horrible bastard's tenure, there'll be more trans people, there'll be more gay people, because they'll want to express themselves.
Mm-hmm.
They don't, like, when you try and suppress people,
yeah,
they'll do nothing other than fight back.
Yeah, totally.
And when they're like, "Oh, you don't want me to be this?" Well, I want to be this, and I'm gonna do it even more so because you don't want me to.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm here, and I'm gonna
be
prove
myself.
that I'm here. Yeah, I agree.
You can't stop me, and it's just like, this is the thing, like, about that whole, like, and when you see political movements and big movements for, you know, women's rights and black people fucking being able to have a seat on the goddamn bus and things like that, it's because people didn't want them to have it so bad that they just took it for themselves.
Yes, certainly.
And this is the same thing.
Yeah, certainly.
And they'll never understand. And this is, D&D is going to never have been more of a safe space for you than right now.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I absolutely. And I think in a world where we escape to our world in D&D, right? You know, I'm not saying everyone, but I'd say for the majority of people, it is an escape. It's to get away from being, I'm Margaret who works a job and I have to pay a mortgage and I have to feed myself every day to stay alive.
No!
Yeah. You know what I mean?
Margaret who's never fed herself in her goddamn life.
Like, you know, I can escape to being Rayla, the moon druid wolf who just fucks shit up all the time, you know? And it feels, it's a complete escape. And when the world, as it is right now, we're in late stage capitalism, the whole world, everywhere's suffering right now. You have what's happened in America. You have what is happening in Gaza. You have all of this political. And I don't believe a lot of it should be political. I believe that, you know, human lives are human lives and that shouldn't be political.
Yeah.
But what better place to escape all of that than a game where anything can happen? You don't have to conform to those rules. You can be whoever you want. And you mentioned something earlier where you were like, so someone just decided, I'll just play a woman. And how many times do we see in video games people playing women characters for whatever reason it is?
Because the models are hot.
Well, yeah. But I have a quote here. TJ Jazz, who uses he, she, and they pronouns, sent in, the closest I had ever gotten was playing a woman in video games.
Yeah.
So once TTRPGs gave me the freedom of true customizable characters, I could finally explore being something other than what the world told me I could be.
Exactly.
And I think that hits it on the head.
I think that nails it to the fucking floor.
Yeah.
Like, you couldn't pin that down anymore. Like, the world wants you to be something.
Yeah.
If it can't pin you down, it scares you.
Yeah.
That's what these fucking right-wing Republicans want. They want you to be exactly what you want them to be, because you're easy to control at that point.
Yeah,
you're
totally.
easy to pin down.
Yeah.
Oh, you are this.
Yeah.
But the thing is, we're just, look, to get as deep as we can into it, we are born against our will.
Yeah.
We didn't ask to be born.
No one did.
And then when we get born, we get told we are boy, we are girl.
Yeah.
Then after that, we are told we have to go to school, we have to get a job, we have to have a family. And I don't think, it's just fucking living proof. We don't have children. None of our friends want children. We don't work a proper 9-to-5 job. You know, we are he, she, you know.
Yeah, we're cisgender.
We're cisgender, but, you know, like, all of us are just breaking that mold. And no government and no politician will ever change that. We will always, and especially now, we will be who we want to be, and nobody can tell you what to be. And this is the perfect way to start that off, I think.
Yeah. And
I think it is a huge catalyst for so many people.
Yeah, I agree.
To just realize that, hey, I actually don't want to be a fucking dude.
Yeah.
Hey, I don't want to be a girl.
Yeah.
I want to be.
I realize I was born a woman.
Yeah.
I've always been a woman. I've just been born into the wrong body, and I realize that. And honestly, what TJ Jazz says here, I could finally explore being something other than what the world told me to be.
Exactly.
And I think that transcends more than just gender identity in D&D. I think that transcends everything. In
it's
D&D,
personality.
Yeah, you can be the hero.
Yeah.
You are the hero. In a lot of cases in D&D, you are the outspoken,
social butterfly.
Yeah, the outspoken, brave, able-bodied, maybe, character
100%.
in D&D. And it's in our world, you're right, we get so pigeonholed into white, cisgender, hetero male, you know?
Works this job,
Yeah.
has family.
Yeah, we're so boxed in.
Yeah.
But D&D, there is no box.
There's just no box.
If you don't want there to be.
I just want to quickly shout out, you said able-bodied, which, you know, is a big thing as well to, you know, play somebody who is able-bodied.
Yeah,
if you
certainly.
are disabled.
Yeah.
One D&D, or D&D 2024, there's a magic item that is just prosthetic limb. No attunement. It works exactly like a normal limb.
Yay!
And I just, do you know what I mean? Like, that's just sick. And
I agree.
I just love that for the game.
Yeah, I agree.
And yeah, like, play somebody able-bodied, play somebody who's like socially extremely confident.
Yeah.
I think for a lot of people, they are, and we've seen it before, them as themselves, very nervous, very, very socially awkward, maybe very socially underconfident. And then they play Dungeons and Dragons and they become fucking Thogra, the orc barbarian. Yeah. And they're just like, they become somebody else.
Yeah, totally.
And it's because you've dropped these shackles of you, who you are.
Yeah. Who the world wants you to be.
Yeah, who the world sees you as.
Maybe who people around you need you to be.
Exactly.
Who maybe you need yourself to be in that moment. You know, I think it goes without saying, people who maybe care for family, people who have to care for friends, you know what I mean? People who have to care for people as their job. That is a very selfless act.
Yeah.
It's a very difficult act. And
it's what I would say, it's one of the hardest things.
Definitely.
Being a carer.
Yeah, definitely.
For somebody is, and the thing is, the people who care for people should have so much support.
I know,
and
but
they
very rarely do.
They get barely any.
Very,
and
very
I think
rarely
it's just so unfair.
Yeah, absolutely.
So to be able to maybe, you know, not do that for a night.
Absolutely. Be able to be like,
live.
This person needs me, but hey, nobody needs Stinky Feet the Goblin.
Stinky Feet the Goblin.
Stinky Feet the Goblin.
The Goblin Artificer.
Is a free little goblin who can do whatever they want.
Free spirit.
You know? And even if you're putting that hat on for 4 hours a week, a month.
To forget about your, I'm not going to say problems, but some problems.
Yeah.
Forget about your responsibilities.
Yeah, you're like, man, Stinky Feet, actually? Stinky Feet's having
fuck
to...
shit up.
Stinky Feet needs to get into the winery because the vampires poisoned all the wine in the winery, and
that's what,
you know, they just want to get drunk.
That's what Stinky Feet cares about.
Yeah, you know what I mean. And it can be a serious, like totally not as serious as you want it to be.
100%.
And to kind of close out the gender identity section of this, you know, especially because there's a lot I want to speak about specifically on confidence. Gift of Gabby 1, who uses they them pronouns, sent in a quote saying, D&D let me try out different pronouns, different expressions and aesthetics with a safer environment and with less consequences than in real life. And I think, again, that sums it up. It's the idea that there's less consequences, you know? Who your friends at the table or online, you know, they don't care that they're going to refer to you with she, her pronouns if you want them. Like, that's a very, and, you know, even the guys of, no, it's just my character. You know, it's just my character.
But I think that's it. Like, then we go back to the safety blanket. It's just like, it's just my character. Like, I don't, you know, it's not me, it's just my character, but really it's inside, you know why you're doing it, and it's totally fine to do. But that other part is like, try out different things about how I want to look and how I want to sound and how I want to act and stuff like that. See, it's strange for me. Like, that bit is strange for me because I don't know what it is. I don't know where I got it from because, like, look, I love my dad. I got it from my mom. I think I got it from my mom. My dad is the most got to do everything by the book dude on earth. It's just the way he is, the way he has always been. But, like, I have dressed and I have acted and I have done what I wanted to my whole life.
Same.
And I think I hate being told what to do.
Same.
You tell me I should, like, curl my hair, I'm going to straighten it. You tell me I should wear black, I'm going to wear white. Like, I'm going to do everything that you tell me not to do. Because I just hate, we're the same. We're me and you have both always been like this. So, like, I love the people can get that liberation. From Dungeons and Dragons.
And I think we need to recognize that we come from a really privileged position to do that. You know, we have families that support us.
And I'm also a cis white man.
Exactly. And I'm not, you know, a white woman, but, you know, I'm a cis woman, a cisgendered woman, you know, where, you know, granted, it was harder for me, but at the same time, my dad, who I grew up with, he was, anyone tried to say anything about how I looked, he was on the case. Old Betsy.
You know what I mean?
Betsy. He was on the case. And that comes from a place of privilege and that comes from a place of being supported. And I think for a lot of people, you know, if we're even just talking about aesthetic wise, like Gift of Gabby said here, you know, some people work jobs, you can't dye your hair. You can't have tattoos. Like, some people, your family, your friends will judge you for how you look, which is wrong, but it's the truth. Your D&D character, they can look however you want.
But this is the thing. Like, I think, you know, my character has loads of tattoos. Oh, your character looks fucking sick. I love their tattoos. I'm going to get a tattoo. It gives you that affirmation. And it gives you that self-confidence to be like, do you want to know what? No, my family's wrong. Tattoos are sick. Do you want to know what? They're wrong. My fucking hair is blue and I fucking don't give a shit and I go and buy some blue hair dye. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's that liberation and it's that experimentation that you've never been able to do without that social judgment before or, like, peer judgment before. And it just gives you that confidence to be able to go and do it.
And I think as well, like, oh gosh, you know what? I don't know what I was going to say.
That's fine.
Hey,
sorry,
look,
I'm
you know
so
what?
Sorry.
It went. It completely
okay.
went. I was unironically furries. Honestly, unironically furries.
Like, literally couldn't be any less ironic.
Literally.
It is a furry breeding ground. D&D.
Like, because there's so many anthropomorphic races. 100%. There's so many things that lean into that. And
in that book there.
Devil's Guide to Beast World, baby. Literally. And again, we know that furries are one of the most judged, a community that online gets so much flack, that gets so ridiculed, and I can only imagine how much of a safe space it is, you know. And I'm talking about in terms of aesthetic. Being able to actually be like, I'm a tabaxi, and no one bats an eyelid. Everyone's like, yeah, cool,
cringe.
You know what I mean?
But it's the same. It's they cross over so heavily because you're in D&D, you play another character, you are allowed to express yourself. You go to a convention, you just go outside, whatever you do, you put your fursuit on,
Yeah.
nobody can see
Yeah, absolutely.
what is behind it.
Absolutely.
You are
your persona.
that persona.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
And it's
liberating.
Doesn't matter what I look like.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what color my skin is.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if you think I look like a woman.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if
I'm chronically ill.
Chronically ill, not able-bodied. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You see the fursuit.
Yeah.
And that is the point. You see the character in D&D. You see the fursuit. They cross over.
Absolutely.
Like furry and
Absolutely.
TTRPG go hand in hand.
Yeah.
Because you aren't you.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Hey, clip that. D&D is your persona.
Yeah, D&D is your persona.
How about that? But I think I think there is a huge crossover there. And talking about confidence in general, right? Going back to the point that I made earlier in terms of being confident and being able to express yourself in different ways. In D&D, I said it before, you're the hero.
Yeah.
For the most part, if you want to be. But, how many times is there, the party go up against the big, bad, evil guy?
Every campaign.
You know what I mean?
Every single campaign.
Normally, most characters align at neutral to good,
Yeah.
I think it's safe to say in a lot of games, you play the hero. And with playing the hero comes with different elements of it. I will always remember, an example I have of this is, in our very first campaign, our characters were talking about morality and doing the right thing. And one of the characters said, they were like, I'm willing to destroy this entire part of the world, this part of the dimension that we're in, to secure the BBEG never getting out. And my character was like, me, absolutely. I would sacrifice my life and I would sacrifice all of this to ensure that this BBEG doesn't wreak havoc on the rest of the world. That's a decision that goes without saying, doesn't come lightly to
a person, to you or I.
To a normal human being in real life, right?
Because two things, you'd probably never get the opportunity.
Yeah, certainly.
And secondly, you're not actually considering your own life.
Yeah, and that act of selflessness, you're able to step into that role of selflessness. And a really good quote that I have that was sent in by Ter, and he uses he, him pronouns, is, D&D allows me to be an idealized version of myself.
Yeah.
It allows me to be more vulnerable. It allows me to express ideas and emotions how I would like to, but not how I always can.
Nice.
And I think that's...
And, not to... I think as did Ter use he, him pronouns?
Yes.
As a man, as a he, him presenting person, I think that was also a big thing for me that I can really, really relate with is, when we grow up, sadly, we are told, hey, no crying, you're a man, you're the rock,
be a
you're
man.
the foundation, be a man
Be a
about
man.
it.
Man up.
Like, man up and be a man about it. I don't want to do that. I am a unbelievably emotional person.
Yeah.
I have, and I don't think I realized until probably the last 5 years when I've been playing D&D, how much of an emotional being I am.
Yeah.
It's not just like crying.
No.
I'm a very upbeat person.
Yeah.
And when I can't be that, it does bring me down. Like, I like to be happy. I like to do everything to make myself as happy as I can be, because I am quite a force of personality. I like to make other people happy.
Yeah.
Like, I like to make you happy. I like to make our community happy. I like to make people on stream happy.
Mm-hmm.
I like to make my party happy when I'm the dungeon master. And
how about that guy?
I like to make him happy as well. And I don't think I realized how much, I do want these highly emotional, driven, complex feelings in my life.
Yeah.
And I think Dungeons & Dragons really allowed that for
I
me.
agree. Being able to express emotions how you want to, but not how you can, how you're allowed, how you're given the space to in real life. You can... How many times do we deal with a situation where it's like, my character will sacrifice themselves in this moment. How my character will put aside what they care for to help someone else. I think in D&D, you get to make these selfless decisions that don't actually impact you, Jack.
And you get to be, something bad happens to your character. Oh, my character cries. It's just like, I would never cry in real life or something like that, but you're allowed to feel these intense emotions.
Yeah.
That that you're not allowed, socially not allowed to feel.
It's processing emotions through a filter, through a safe filter. I think being able to process those things is important, and something that we're not given the tools, and at least
the chance,
at least especially cisgender men.
Yeah,
absolutely not given the tools to know how to be able to feel any form of emotion apart from anger, let's be honest. And I feel like D&D is a soft filter over the top of all of that.
I agree.
Because you can recognize when a moment is sad. You can recognize when a moment is joyful. You can recognize a moment when it's sincere. And being able to say, hey, I recognize that this is happening, so I'm going to react accordingly. Yeah. And I think that...
I'm going to react differently.
Yeah.
Like, oh, this is the emotion I go immediately to, but I'm not me.
Yeah.
My character would do this.
Yeah.
Hey, maybe I should be more compassionate.
Yeah, maybe I liked that.
Maybe I should be more optimistic.
Yeah.
Like that. Because there is a lot of people who do tend to skew to the negative.
Yeah.
Especially men.
Yeah.
Like wanting to pick faults and think that they know better and things like that. That is a very man-orientated mindset.
It's called audacity.
It's called audacity. And hey, men have a lot of it. Personally, I've never gotten that. Like, I like to be as positive as I can.
Yeah.
And be excited for things. So, being able to, hey, I would normally view the negative side of this.
Totally.
But I'm not me. Like, I want to have a more positive outlook.
Yeah.
I want to pull the positives away from the situation.
Hey, I'm gonna crack a joke here.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make a joke. My character sees someone sad, they're gonna try and cheer them up.
I'm gonna try and cheer them up.
And
I wouldn't have the confidence to do that maybe as a person, but my character would.
Absolutely. And that, honestly, a great example of this, again, sent in from Louis Darkwolf, who uses he, him pronouns. Through my character, as I did things I thought I would never normally do. Like, I would try to be the funny jokester, or I would try and be the inspirational leader, and I would learn how to comfort others. I think gaining those incredibly important social cues, or even being able to recognize those important social cues, who would have ever thought that you could gain that type of information and knowledge through a game?
And I think that it's like almost like an example. Like, hey, something bad's just happened to the party, and I want to be that person who stands up and says, no, like, we might have lost, but this isn't the end. Let's pick ourselves back up. Let's lick our wounds. And it's just like being that leader, being that person who sort of grabs hold of the situation, realizes everybody's having a tough time, and be like, I'm going to help. And then maybe something like that happens IRL for you. And then you're like, oh, no, I couldn't do that. And then you go, wait a minute.
No, I can.
I can
because I have.
I've done that before. I've literally done this before.
I can because I have.
Doesn't matter that it was because the fucking lich killed one of your gnome party members. And that's not what's happening like IRL.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
Yeah.
You've been put in the same situation. Yes, some facets are slightly different, but you can be that person. And that's it. It's that confidence.
Yeah, it is.
I wouldn't normally be this person.
Yeah.
But I literally have experience because of a role-playing game of playing the role of this happening.
Yeah, totally.
I can do it.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I think it's with so many things in life, through repetition comes confidence.
100%.
And I think the more you step into a character, and I think this is maybe something I'm realizing in this moment that I didn't realize I had, how much more confidence I have gained in myself since playing D&D. Honestly, my characters have always been, first of all, full of fuck, but
fucking gobby, loud
and gobby.
Yeah.
Which, and listen, I know I sit on a podcast in front of people. I know I sit on a stream. I'm actually quite anxious around people in real life. I'm quite shy. I'm not the type of person who I can start a conversation first.
Especially since COVID.
Especially since. Once I'm in a situation and someone's talking to me, I'm great. I love conversing with people, but I struggle to get I struggle to start.
To initiate.
Yeah, definitely. Because of my own self-doubt. But I do think through my characters being so emboldened and being so righteous in a lot of ways, I think looking at it now, it probably has helped me.
Yeah.
In fact, it has helped me. I know it has. I know it has. And D&D gave me the confidence to do all of this, which is something it's a hard thing. I say hard is obviously subjective. But it's hard to sit in front of people and especially conversations like this, kind of wear your heart on your sleeve a little bit. And I mean, I always wear my heart on my sleeve. Who am I kidding? But yeah, I think what it can do for someone's overall confidence and sense of self is huge, because it's practicing behaviors that you can pull into your own real life, right?
I agree. And like you said, like those situations, the amount of times that those situations actually arise IRL are so little.
Yeah.
But with a game like Dungeons and Dragons, where things are like, we time skip, we put ourselves in dangerous situations, we put ourselves in situations with many other people where they don't maybe come about so often and so frequently in IRL.
Yeah.
It's like you do get practice being put in a situation. So when that situation arises for you, it's like, hey, I know exactly what to do here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is great.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. And the last topic before we kind of get on to, the final thoughts, is trauma and grief. Mm-hmm. Now, I will say, trigger warning, I haven't kept details in from people's submissions, but there is trigger warning, obviously, for loss. There is some trigger warnings for childhood abuse and neglect. I do not get into details of them, but just so you know, that's kind of some things. Yeah, some things that I think are important to talk about. Mm-hmm. And, I think focusing specifically on the grief aspect of this, I think D&D lends itself incredibly well in many ways to help someone process grief, right? I think the first thing that comes to mind is a way to memorialize someone if you want to. I think how many times that's the most common in media, right? Including games. Mm-hmm. Memorializing someone, putting someone in the game, putting a reference to someone in the game, keeping someone's memory alive in game. Yeah. And I really wanted to mention on this topic, the subreddit that's called Adventures of Galder. Yes. Which is just a subreddit that someone dedicated to their friend who they played D&D with, who were like, their memory is going to live on in my game. Yeah. And people go and they post stories of their friends who they have lost, whether they play D&D or not. Obviously, the majority of TTRPGs at least do. And it's this cathartic moment of being like, we lost this person and this was their character and I just want them to live on. And people being like, I've put them in my game. Yeah. Yeah, they'll live on in my game, memorialized.
Like, that's it. Like, we maybe do lose people, IRL, parents, like children, brothers, sisters, pets, whatever it is. And we can put them into the game and we can decide. Yeah, yeah. Like, that's the thing. That's the difference between IRL and in-game is most of the time, anyway, we decide what happens.
Yeah, we can give them.
We have control.
Yeah, totally. They can live on, living in the tavern, having a great time.
They have plot armor, so they can never die. Mm-hmm. Like, every situation that they're in trouble, it's just like, boom, they blink out, it doesn't matter. Yeah. So we can make these, like, rules up where it doesn't matter. Yeah, I agree. Like, it doesn't matter what happens to them because they are immortal or something.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that's obviously a big part of it, right? Yeah, being 100%. Able to, and I love the subreddit Adventures of Galder. It's a really wonderful subreddit, and
it's sad.
It is. No, it is. It's incredible. Naturally, it's incredibly sad, but it's also this feeling of I get it. I hear you, and I'm sorry. And hey, they'll live on. Just so you know, they'll live on in my game, and I love that. And obviously, the topic of processing grief, right? This is I didn't expect this to be I didn't expect to be so emotional already thinking about this, but I think it's important to say and give you my firsthand experience of it, right? Yeah. Because if you didn't know, I lost my dad in 2020, and it was literally at my dad's funeral. My friend Matthew was like, "Hey, you should play D&D." Yeah. Whether he knew or not what it was going to do for me, I don't know.
I think honestly, it was more of a, I know this is about to be a very tough time for you. So I think having an excuse to have, to see each other every week and have friends round and take your mind off it and do something that isn't mourning.
Yes, totally. Take your mind off it and play a game.
It's probably where Matthew said was at with that.
Which, that in itself, that act in itself is an incredibly thoughtful and kind act, right? And my first character, Beloved, and by the way, this all happened without me even realizing.
Yeah.
This is, and I feel like so many people have had this exact thing. You don't realize, you said this in the beginning, you don't realize until after the fact maybe that you've started processing something.
Yeah.
And I did this all without meaning to. And my first character, Beloved, her main story was she lived with her father and he died and she blamed herself. She did something terrible and she blamed herself basically. Okay. First of all, she was a lone wolf and an edgelord, so she didn't share anything with her party until like really close to the end.
Yeah.
But that's not on that. But when it came out what she was going through and how she was feeling and the guilt she held, because goodness gracious, she felt guilty. I'll always remember the time she told everyone and she broke down and she said, and it's my fault. And in that moment, me as Margaret saw my friends and my partner, their characters comforting my character and saying it wasn't your fault. And that's something that me as Margaret didn't know that I needed to hear, but hearing it through that filter and hearing my friends, hearing my character's friends saying, of course it wasn't your fault. How was that your fault? I didn't realize that Margaret needed to hear that
as well,
Yeah. Because that's a huge part of grief is guilt. Mm-hmm. And that was something I completely unintentionally did. Something that I don't know. I don't know how I didn't see the parallels. I'm sure everyone else could see the parallels apart from me.
Yeah.
And it's that moment of Margaret going, of course it wasn't Beloved's fault. Of course it wasn't.
Yeah.
And then
transcending.
Yeah, absolutely.
That veil between character and person.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I think there is maybe something that we've never really said, and I've only really just sort of thought of it there, is I think, and I don't think this will ever change, is I think because Matthew asked you at your dad's funeral, and that's how we started playing D&D, just after your dad had died, at your dad's funeral, I don't think you will ever be able to fully disconnect the two.
No, and
which I don't think is a bad thing, because I think Dungeons and Dragons has been a great way for you to express yourself.
It has
about the feelings that you're feeling in IRL.
It has,
and I think honestly, because of how it came about, us first ever playing, is a reason that we were both in a very reflective and emotional state at the time, and I think that. For me, I didn't realize that because I was so in the headspace of I need to take care of you.
Yeah.
Like your dad that's died, and like I need to be there for you. I need to be like it doesn't matter about me. Like don't worry about me. It's the whole carer thing.
Exactly.
It's the whole carer thing. It's like I was so devoid of giving myself a break, any emotion off, trying to feel anything, because I was just desperately trying to feel everything for you.
Yeah,
that like I think I had become like quite. I'm not a angry person.
No,
like it, like I might get fucking pissed off at people who are just annoying in the world. But like to actually get angry, like I have a very long tether.
You do.
And at that moment in time, I wasn't.
No.
Like I was quite easy to anger and stuff like that, and I think it really took it out of me. And there was a lot of my character thought he was a dreadful person.
Yeah.
My character thought he was a bad person.
But also was the comedic relief.
He was the comedic relief,
you know,
which is exactly what I was for you.
Totally.
I was, you know, it's okay. It doesn't matter how I'm feeling. I'll make everyone laugh. Like, it doesn't matter if I'm actually dead inside or sad. Like, I'll make everybody laugh. And it was such a reflection on my mental state at the time that I don't think I actually realized. I didn't realize until far later on.
No, but you don't.
You don't.
But
exactly.
You don't. That's
it. And that was my way of dealing with the grief.
Yeah.
Because it was. I don't think it really took a toll on me. Like, how hard it is. Because it wasn't my family member.
Yeah.
It wasn't my dad.
Yeah,
but like, to just have somebody who you know pass away.
Yeah.
Is just hard to deal with.
It is hard. It is hard, and you know, you were there through all of it.
The whole thing, yeah.
Yeah, and you know that it doesn't matter if he wasn't your dad. You know, like it doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. But I think as well, like I was like, oh yeah, Margaret, like Beloved's a direct comparison to you. Like definitely, you've done
window to the soul.
So for you,
yeah.
And that's something I'd be like,
huh.
Aww.
But and again, I think now in hindsight, gosh, I can that example I gave there was incredibly cathartic for me. I don't know how much for you that experience was.
I think, and this is the thing. I think for you, it's maybe you tell a story and your character maybe comes to terms with it, and when they come to terms with it, you maybe feel like you can come to terms with as well.
Yeah, it's a safety blanket.
Yeah.
It's being able to process these feelings that me as Margaret, I'm scared to process.
To feel.
I'm scared to feel them. I'm scared to even address them. But when they come up in a game, you have the choice to face it or not, you know? And I chose to face them in game, and being able to make that choice when I was so paralyzed in my real life was a big thing that I didn't even notice. I didn't even realize that I was choosing to face my grief head on in this game until after the fact. I didn't realize it was a choice, but it was. And that in itself is cathartic for me. And, you know, you said you'll always be tied to D&D and your dad, and I agree. Under those circumstances, I agree. But you know, me as Margaret, he was my dad. Like I'm tied to him no matter what.
Oh no, like D&D and your, like, you will always. It's like you will always view D&D in a particular light, in a special light.
Yeah. Because
of how it came about, I think.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And that's because, you know, it's ingrained in me. And another example I have, which when I was writing the script, I didn't realize how much was in my opinion, a huge step forward for me. You know, Beloved, we had Beloved who had done something horrible and lost her dad, and she blamed herself, and he was never coming back. And there was an option where she had a chance to talk to him again, and she chose not to. It was a whole thing. You fast forward to now, to my most recent character, Blythe, and I wanted her whole story to be that death isn't the end.
Yeah.
And I don't think I didn't even realize it again until when I was writing this script the other day. How much it's all on the same spectrum and how far I've come along.
Yeah.
You know, Blythe's whole
Definitely.
thing. And I feel it every time in game, and I'm sure you do as well. Every time we had to put a jar on Father Augustine's tree, in a way, that's me paying homage to my dad.
Yeah.
Every time we have a funeral for a character, it's a way.
Yeah.
It's a way for me to do that. And I just think I can't believe how far I've come along.
You have, yeah.
Because honestly, not just because of D&D, obviously. But in a huge way, my characters are a huge reflection of myself, and being able to look back and go from Beloved, who was this angry, upset, scared, guilt-ridden person, to Blythe, whose whole message is death isn't the end.
Yeah.
It is a huge step, and I think that's a testament to D&D.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a testament. I also think it's a testament to, you know, time.
Of course.
And, you know, like, grief doesn't go away. It just becomes easier to deal with, I think.
Definitely. There's going to be days where it's worse.
There's going to be days where at the beginning it's going to be bad.
Yeah,
every
all
day.
the time.
But then it'll come to the point where you do reflect and you look fondly back on it, and there is only slightly less time where you like think about it in a negative. But I think as well, the point that I was making with in that moment, like I think you tell us the way that we deal with it is so different. Is you tell a story and your character maybe has that moment where they do say the thing out loud and you can feel it to be true. Or you like, you know, I've come a long way and I want this to be the story because this is the way I feel now.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's a very intentional thing for you, which I think is awesome.
Yeah.
But for me, I think it's actually a completely unintentional thing.
And trust me, in the beginning it was unintentional for me as well. I mean, gosh, even with Blythe, honestly, I didn't even realize until I put the script together that even then it was an homage to my dad in a way, and to my feelings and who I am.
I want. The point is, I maybe want you sitting behind the camera.
Oh no, they're in the dungeon,
no.
Jack.
I want you to think about your character like I did, and maybe think about why you made your character and why you made them the way they are, and just because it might not be, you might just make a character for the fun of it. You might just make a character because you think it's cool, but you might have unintentionally, like I did, made a character for a specific reason, and after you've played the campaign out, or maybe you're in the thick of it, and you actually think about it and you go, yeah, maybe I am like dealing with something, and maybe I am thinking about something subconsciously, and this is my way to deal with it. Yeah. Like, this is my, like, mine was more of a outlet.
Yeah. Yeah, and I was going to say, it's totally fine, by the way, if that's it as well.
Yeah, 100%.
If D&D for you is
fine.
A complete escape, you don't want to ever have to think about that thing in your game, that is, by the way, just as healthy and just as valid.
That's actually, like, that's the thing. It's like, I actually don't want anything to do with this.
Absolutely.
Good.
Absolutely.
Like,
absolutely. That's a good thing.
Like, to give yourself to escape.
To give yourself, honestly, that boundary of being like, I'm playing D&D. I'm not thinking about it.
I'm not thinking about it.
I'm not thinking about it.
I don't want to think about my job. I don't want to think about what's going on at home. Yeah. I don't want to think about this or that. I want to go to, like, that is also a way to deal with it.
Absolutely. And I think as well, you know, that is a way to help with your grief. And, you know, I listen, look at me. I'm not a professional. I don't know.
You look pretty professional to me.
Yeah. But, you know, it's okay to want to not think about that bad thing.
Yeah.
For a little while.
Totally fine.
It's totally fine.
It's totally fine.
It's totally healthy to do something to take your mind off that thing. Yeah. You know, of course, there's extremes in everything, but once a week, a few hours a week, maybe every other week, 2 months, to forget about it.
You deserve that.
That's okay.
You deserve that.
D&D, whatever, can be that for you. Yeah. Definitely. Well, what you just said there, it could be, you may not realize it, but it could be a way to talk about an experience you've had to bring things up. I really would like to include this from Ter, who uses he, him pronouns, and this is on the topic of the loss of his husband, which of course we're incredibly sorry to hear that, Ter.
Yeah.
But he says it's very hard for me to open up to people and talk about experiences, especially heavy ones, and it can be extremely difficult for me. And I think, you know, and that's on the topic of being able to do so in D&D, and I think, you know, that very much is.
I think it comes back to the original points that we made, where it's like something like that is impossible sometimes to, when it's just happened, to be like, I'm never going to be able to like comprehend this. Yeah. I'm never going to be able to deal with this. I'm never going to be able to wrap my head around or process this. And, you know, as time goes on, you still maybe don't want to say it out loud.
Yes.
and you still maybe don't even want to maybe even tell your party in game.
Yeah.
But maybe as a dungeon master, or maybe as a player, you've written into your story that you have lost a loved one. Or maybe you do have an NPC that has lost a loved one, and they want the party to, like take their ashes to the top of the highest peak or something like that and spread them across the land. Some things, it's like, we don't have to say it out loud.
Yeah.
It's fine. Like, you don't have to, because it's fucking hard to say it out loud. But when we put the veil of an NPC, when we put the veil of a quest, when we put the veil of a player,
it's suddenly easier to do.
It is. It's so much easier to do.
It's so much easier to do. And kind of to wrap this topic up, I really want to include this because this is a really important example and a really positive example as well. This has been sent in by Anonymous, and she uses she, her pronouns. And this is on the topic of childhood abuse and neglect. Again, we're not getting into it, but it's important to mention that this is what this is pertaining to. D&D helped me to finally deal with it. There were sessions, not every single one though, that I would log off the Discord call and I would just cry. Not in a I'm triggered way, but in a way that I was finally getting a weight off me that I didn't know was there. And what I will say is, by the end of the campaign, I finally told my extended family about the abuse, and I cut off my abusers from my life permanently. And I just think going from experiencing something horrible in your life, getting into a game, and again, Anonymous also said the DM did none of this intentionally. It just so happened that some of the topics that Anonymous's character was involved in went back to these experiences that she had experienced in her life. And to even not even have this be an intentional thing, but to get to the point where you can actually finally cut off your abusers permanently from your life, I think that is such an important thing to mention, because that's a life-changing thing, and that is
life-changing.
That's a life-changing thing.
I think as well, like, look, comparing, I'm not comparing the two. Like, I'm not, because like what I'm about to talk about and what you have talked about there, Anonymous, are two completely different things, and I'm so happy for you that you were able to do this.
Yeah.
But I only in the last couple of years have been able to, feel what you're feeling here as a man. I have always struggled to talk about my feelings. Always struggled to talk about my feelings. It's just something that we aren't taught to do. And Margaret has helped me try to do that, to try and like talk about how I'm feeling. It's like, I can tell you're feeling this, and I'm like, no, I'm not, I'm not. And I am, and I just can't say it out loud for some reason. And in the last couple of years, you've like made me feel okay about doing it. And when I do, I just start to cry.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't know what, I know exactly what it is. I don't know why I'm saying I don't know what it is. I know exactly what it is. It's processing emotions is emotional.
It is?
Who'd have thought it?
Wow. Oh my God. Spoiler.
Who'd have thought it?
Oh my God.
It's like I'm saying how I feel. And as soon as I say how I feel, I just begin to cry.
Yeah.
Because I've not been able to do it properly.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm like, it's because it's so complicated in my head.
It is.
And it's such a mental block.
Yeah.
As soon as I do, it's like you said, it's like a weight has been lifted.
It's just a weight
and
off
I've
your
just
shoulders.
Said, I feel this way.
Yeah.
And it's tough. So it's like the fact that I can't even imagine like holding on to this for as long as you did.
Absolutely.
Dealing with this in an unexpected way.
Unintentional way as well.
Unintentional, unexpected way. You end the call and the thing is, I can't even say I can only imagine how you feel.
Yeah, yeah.
I can only fathom the emotions that you felt.
Totally.
And being able to turn to your family and being like, this happened to me.
Yeah.
I'm cutting these people off.
Absolutely.
Oh my God, that's just, Jonah, I hate that for you, but at the same time, I love that for you.
Yeah, and Anonymous, I don't know if you're listening, but by the way, we're incredibly proud of you. You should be incredibly proud of yourself. And it's absolutely not up to me to speculate whether you would have gotten to this point without D&D. I don't want to put that. that's not what I'm trying to say. But I am so glad that in some way
you got there.
You got there.
Whether it's D&D or not, you got there.
Yeah, and by your own words, D&D helped me finally deal with it. And I'm not saying that D&D I'm not saying D&D will solve all of your problems. Certainly not. A lot.
No.
There's many factors that work at it. But what I think is D&D can be the first step to even recognizing that a step forward is possible.
Yeah.
Relating to trauma and grief, relating to your confidence and self-expression, relating to your gender identity.
Mm-hmm.
D&D, taking off the human skin suit, stepping into someone else, taking that step is a step.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
It's a step.
And I guess that kind of leads us into the conclusions of why on earth do we think D&D can do this for so many people? And I think it's because D&D at the end of it all is art, right?
Yeah.
It's like a song, it's like a poem, it's like a movie, it's like a book you read. Art speaks to us in a way that a lot of things cannot.
Yeah.
Art speaks to us and invokes that feeling of inspiration, of passion, of confidence, sadness, joy, in a way that so many things cannot. And then put yourself into that art.
Yeah.
Right? I'm not even just talking about your character, put you in a situation where you can forge anything you want with the people you trust around you. That is transformative.
And maybe not so much on that point. I do want to say, like, when it came to the self-expression thing, I completely forgot to mention. I remember there was a point in COVID, it had just hit, and I'd quit my band a couple of years before, and I wasn't playing any music, and I wasn't being creative, and I was selling cars and stuff like that. And I remember COVID hit, and all of these ideas of, I could get the band back together. I might start a band with my brother and stuff like that. I just needed something. I'm a creative person. I needed something to be creative about. And I remember we went and played Dungeons and Dragons, and I started Dungeon Master not long after we started playing.
It was like
maybe like 6 months,
not even a year.
Yeah, something like that. It was like maybe 6-9 months in, I started Dungeon Mastering, and not once since that point did those thoughts come back in my mind that I wanted to do it, because that is my outlet.
Yeah.
Being on stage and performing in front of people, and like being the lead singer of a band and being the Dungeon Master gave me the same thing.
Because it's art.
Because it's art.
It's because it's art.
And that's the thing. I just, like, I think the way to wrap it up, how do you wrap that up is the issue. How do you wrap that up? Being able to be somebody you are not.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Being able to put yourself in situations you would never be in.
Totally.
Being able to put a foot forward and nobody know that it's something that you're dealing with, something that you haven't been able to deal with, something that you've wanted to experiment with, something that you've wanted to try for so long, and nobody actually knowing that you're doing that, hey, would turn out it's a great way to deal with something.
Yeah.
Like, you get to do it because nobody knows. And even if they do know, you can always just veil it behind my character.
Yep.
And, you do get to deal with this trauma.
Yep.
You do get to deal with this self-identity.
Yep.
You do get to deal with this self-expression. You do get to be somebody you are not. And I think that is what it is.
Yeah. And I can safely say, without a shadow of a doubt, D&D has helped me in so many ways that I don't think I would have been able to find, outside of professional therapy. And I'm not saying
that's expensive.
Yeah. And it's not fun. I'm not saying that D&D is a replacement for therapy. I'm not saying. No. I'm not even necessarily saying that D&D is a form of therapy. I I personally believe that it is.
Yeah.
And that is something that one day we would really love to talk about, is D&D being adjacent to a form of therapy, right? You know, I'm not a professional, etc., etc.
I think what it is maybe not. I think it's a catalyst.
Yes, I think it's a tool.
I think it's a tool.
Yeah.
I think it's something that can spark.
Yeah.
Something that can begin a feeling, a expression.
Yep.
And you can do it without taking a risk.
Yeah.
I think it is a catalyst.
Yeah, I agree.
To things that you are maybe afraid to try on your own.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
And I think that's great. I think I agree. It's a catalyst, it's a tool. And I think that's awesome.
Yeah, and it's helped me. There's no way around it. D&D has been nothing but a positive in my life. And you make a really great point. What do you even say? How do you even conclude it? And I actually think the best way to conclude this is from the voices of people in our community who had something to say about this. So I would like to leave you with these last 3 submissions.
Go for it.
From Gina K, who uses they, them pronouns. This experimentation and play acting allowed many of us to find our own voice through this experimentation. From Louis Darkwolf with he, him pronouns. It gives us a chance to be who we are, even if deep down we don't even realize it yet. It can help you learn who you really are, not just in general, but in truth to yourself. So don't be afraid to try things. You never know what you might find. You might find some truth behind why you want to try it.
Yeah.
And finally, from Goblin Tome, and this is what I would really like to end this topic on. A Goblin Tome who uses they, them pronouns. TTRPGs allow a window into your soul. We get a peek into something more about a person and their expressions. Sometimes it's as simple as playing a character that is a different gender, someone who is more brave than ourselves, or someone who wishes to be more than we are. And who doesn't want to peek behind that curtain?
That's pretty good.
And I think that is a wonderful, wonderful place to leave it.
I agree. Well, I hope you enjoyed it.
Man, you know what? I loved that. I thought that was
great.
a really, really important thing to talk about.
I agree.
I think it was a really interesting topic.
I think it was a super interesting topic, and I think it's something that, you know, like, because of who we are and where we stand, and we aren't afraid to let you know that if you want to just be you're welcome here, and you won't get lambasted. I think it's a really important thing for you to hear.
Totally.
Because there's some people who have had that journey.
Absolutely.
But I think there's a lot of people in this community who haven't been able to express that yet.
Totally.
And I just want to let you know that it's okay.
Yeah.
You can.
Absolutely. And by the way, I can't stress this enough. If you don't want that, it does not have to be that at all.
Just smash some goblins in a dungeon and loot some corpses. Who cares? Loot that body. Loot that body.
But just know, it can be.
It can be. Yeah, 100%.
And thank you so very much to everyone who submitted in this.
Wow, thank you so much. I really loved that. That was so great.
Incredibly poignant. Thank you for sharing your experiences with us. You know, we can only speak to what we experience. And it's important to get different perspectives and different experiences from people. So thank you.
Amazing.
And I really hope that we did your stories justice.
Yeah.
Of course, I was only taking, you know, small quotes from, you know, potentially some very big, in-depth submissions. But I hope they did you justice. And I hope that having your voice and your story heard feels good.
Feels good.
I hope it does.
I hope it does, yeah. I agree.
And thank you. We really appreciate you sharing your stories.
Absolutely,
and again, there's the next 2 kind of talk pieces we're going to do. Let's be honest, probably aren't going to be as
heavy as that.
Yeah, and you know, maybe as emotional as that, and maybe not as serious as that.
Yeah.
But if you have any thoughts, we have the surveys open. The link is down below. Please let us know what you thought about our first proper think piece.
Yeah.
I suppose.
Yeah.
This is the first. I know, you know, last week we did the D&D one, but that was kind of more adjacent to what we normally do.
Yeah, it was maybe just like a lot of things have come out in terms of material.
Yeah.
On something that, you know, we're very heavily involved in, and what are our thoughts on it.
Yeah. And
thank you so much for sharing your thoughts as well.
Yeah, indeed. And this is something that this is truly the core of what we believe in. This is truly I feel like this is really a true reflection of.
I think this is really one of the reasons we started the podcast.
It is. It definitely is
because of what Dungeons and Dragons had done for us.
Yeah,
and we wanted to share that, like. We know we talk about like horror stories and the assholes and stuff like that for a bit of fun, but the core message of the channel has always and will always be, this is a safe space.
So
and
certainly,
like you can express yourself.
Yep.
And be who you want to be.
Yeah. And I'd like to hear more about what you guys think. I'd like to hear more of your experiences.
Yeah, let us know down in the comments.
Has D&D helped you in any of these ways? Has D&D helped you in a way that, we haven't outlined above? Because, gosh, I know that there's so many other things.
Yeah.
We'd love to hear. We'd love for you to share your stories. So let us know in the comments below.
Yeah, definitely.
I hope you enjoyed it.
I hope you enjoyed it, yeah. Don't forget, our Pride collection is now live, www.eldritchpodblast.co.uk. Go and check that out. We'll be supporting a local charity with 10% of all purchases from the Pride collection. Come join us on stream every Friday, every Sunday, and every other Tuesday. Check out our Patreon down in the comments below for some more exclusive content. Like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the bell. Anything else?
No.
I love you.
I love you.
Bully loves you.
Uh-huh.
We have been the Eldritch Podblast, and we're going to see you on Monday.
Bye. And another huge thank you to our patrons for all of your support. A big shout out to our fellow entities.
Hoobs.
Ariel.
Tula.
Runarian.
Arkham Labs Cosplay.
Maddie. Luna.
Teddysaurus.
Caspian. J-Spot.
Ultrafail.
Dallin M.
Sleepy.
Joe Dragonlord 2.
Alistar.
Lawkeeper Society.
Ricky B.
Danny Phantom.
Catherine.
Faustskin.
Azuriel.
Panda Queen Plays.
Xylo Boy.
Lucas Iapetis.
Luna River. Christomancy.
The Tacos Are Here.
Gavin.
Raynanana.
Aubrey in Spring.
Scrimbles.
KC Joe 1313.
Thank you again for all your support.
And if you too would like to become a patron of the Eldritch Podblast, check the link below.